Fat guy in a little coat. Richard, what's happening? Hey everybody, Jeff Stone here with another episode of MagicReviewed.com. Today we've got Diverse Deceptions by Richard Osterlind. Diverse? Yes. Deceptions? Yes. Richard Osterlind? I think so. Pretty sure. What do you get here? Well, let's go back in time a little bit to, for me, around the 90s, early 90s, my entire working card repertoire was from these three little booklets here. For Cardman Only by Al Leach, Cardman Stuff, and then Super Cardman Stuff. And the publication dates on these were sometime in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 1949, right? So this captures sort of, this one in particular sort of captures the vibe that Richard Osterlind was going for. If you look back to Animan's day, you know, there's the little booklets here, the Strange Secrets or the Jinx Mental Club Acts, these fun little things like this, 50 card stunts, right? And then, of course, we got a couple Marlows here, Miracle Card Changes, Deck Deception. And again, so especially that little dude down there, that is kind of the thing, that's exactly the kind of thing that Richard Osterlind was trying to do here. And he, if it says it right at the very beginning, that he's very nostalgic for those days and those booklets, and same, totally the same with me. So, what do you get? You get a cool written booklet with this nostalgic sort of layout and font. I'm trying to find the title fonts. Like, see the title fonts there matches the font here, and it just has the vibe of those old books. I love it. Very nostalgic. There's actually 3 in the set, and I got the other 2 on my shelf. I'm going to be reading and reviewing them soon. What do you get in this particular case? You get a handful of effects here, right there, and a couple of little essays, or one essay and one sort of gimmick, if you will. So watch out. That's the first effect. This is the effect. A guy sitting somewhere nowhere near you stands up and asks if they have a second hand on their watch, and they do. And you, without even looking nowhere near them, you say, okay, I'm going to call out now 3 times while you're looking at your watch. When I do, I want you to note where the second hand is. And so the spectator does. And so let's say it's on the 3 and on the 9 and on the 12 or whatever. After he says that and he tells the audience what it is, you turn around a prediction that you've made beforehand. You don't change it or switch it, of those 3 places that it would stop. Very, very cool. And it's super clever. So what I'm going to do here is go through the effect and method together instead of going 6 effects, 6 methods or whatever, just so that we have things together. So that's the effect for the first one. The only thing I would say you need to consider is it's the kind of thing that you won't always have the opportunity to have done ahead of time. You're not like pre-showing the guy or anything like that, but there's something you have to do ahead of time, and you may not get the opportunity to do it. So it can't always necessarily be something that you guarantee you can do it in your show. It's great for casual stuff for sure, and there are ways to get it into your show, and he talks about that in the book. If you get the opportunity, it's great. Really, really smart, really clever, and really easy method too as well. Okay, second thing, watch again. This is just a clever idea of how to take your watch. Now, you do need a specific kind of watch band for this to work, but you turn your watch into a very common gimmick that is used in mentalism and magic all the time. And now you just have it with you, and you don't need any other props. Now, there are lots of things you can do with other props involved, but you don't need any props, and it's ready to go for a lot of cool effects that are like totally impromptu, or they can be stuff that's in your show. I'll just leave it at that. Incredible Insight number 2, Revisited, is the full title of that. This is a really cool idea as well, and all of this stuff is based on other people's ideas, and Richard Osterlind just adds this Osterlind optimization to it, or I don't know, what do you want to call it, where he just tweaks it and makes it way more deceptive. And in fact, if you are a fan of Jeff Kolwak, Erudite Magic YouTube channel. I'll put a link down there. He talks about how when he first got into mentalism, he read Practical Mental Effects and he thought it was just stupid, wouldn't work. How could that fool anybody, kind of a thing. And then he said, then he saw Richard Osterlind perform stuff out of Animan and was blown away by how powerful it could be. Now, for the most part, Richard's just doing what's in Animan, but he always adds these little things to it that just deepen the mystery, right? In fact, his company is called Osterlind Mysteries. That's a great title for his company. So you see that at play here. So what the effect is, Incredible Insight number 2 revisited. The effect is this. A bunch of little cutout ads from a newspaper that are just on the table, and you have the spectator look at them. They are legitimately all genuinely different, and the spectator looks at them, and then she picks one that she's going to focus on, maybe a word or something like that in the ad, and then she's asked to crumble up each of them and put them in a paper bag. You can be, across the room when she's doing this. Then she gives you the bag, which is ungimmicked, by the way, it's just a paper bag. And without hesitation, by the way, you could be blindfolded, legitimately blindfolded while you do this. Without hesitation, you reach in, pull out one of the ads, and you open it, and it is the ad that you give it to her, and it is the ad that she was thinking of. And then further, you read her mind and tell her what was the word on that ad she was thinking of. Very powerful and very clever, very deceptive, and very simple method. It's nothing new. It's just he blended everything together, and then he adds a little routining to it that just makes it beautiful. Then we get an essay called How to Practice, and excellent advice in there, because with mentalism, you're reading minds, right? So how do you read a mind when you don't have the person to interact with and engage and watch their body language and do all this stuff that you do in a mind reading show? You can't really do that. And so he talks about what things you can practice and what things you just have to do, and how to practice some things when there's not somebody around, and some tips and tricks on that. A really good essay. Next is a double envelope, and it's just what it sounds like. And this is Richard Osterlind's way to make a double envelope, and you've probably even seen this kind of double envelope before. He just shows you a simple way to make it that's easy and will last a long time, and it looks very clean and deceptive, and is very useful if you know as a mentalist for lots of different things. And so it's just his touches on it. And again, that's those Osterlind optimizations there. I'm coining that phrase. It's those Osterlind optimizations that make a difference. Next up, the fourth dimensional telepathy. If you know Animan or Bob Cassidy, you know what this effect is. Short version, 3 people write something down on a little note card and stick it in an envelope. One of the people does a drawing, and the other 2 write something down. They are sealed. You write the numbers 1, 2, 3 on them, and then you divine one at a time what each of those things are, and the cleanest way you can imagine. If you've ever seen Bob Cassidy do it, it's unbelievable. It's a great effect. Well, what does Richard Osterlind do? He always adds that, though, called the OO, the Osterlind optimization. I'm coining that phrase too. Trademark, Jeff Stone. Anyway, so he adds his optimization to that as well, and comes up with the way he does it, and he gives you all the details of how he's been doing it for decades, right? So that's that. Psychic card location. This is an effect where spread the cards out, you show they're all different, you shuffle them, riffle or overhand shuffle them, and then you give them to the spectator, and you have her cut in the deck and look at a card, and she's doing this face up, by the way. You're looking away so you don't see it. And then she squares it back up, gives you the deck back, you shuffle it again, and then you deal the cards face down onto the table one at a time, and whenever she says stop, legitimately whenever she says stop, at that point, the card she stops at is the card she thought of. Super powerful, and it uses a very simple technique that if you don't have, will cost you about $5 or $6 to get. And it's an incredible, clever use for this particular thing. I'll just leave it at that. And then last, we have index telepathy. Now, if you are familiar with Bob Cassidy's name and place routine, this is that. But I used to do that trick, Bob Cassidy's name and place. There's one piece of it that I never liked. It's not that it's bad. It's just that I couldn't make it work for me. And funny enough, It's the lighter piece of it. If you know the effect, I'll just leave it at that. It's the part with the lighter. That part with the lighter, even though it's Bob Cassidy's trick, that's a Richard Osterlind idea. And funny enough, that's the part I had an issue with. Well, Osterlind's trick here, index telepathy here, it gets rid of that lighter thing completely, and it makes it way cleaner, in my opinion, and it eliminates one of the billets, if you know what I mean, and it feels way more legitimate, and it's a way that I will actually do again. I say again, meaning I don't do the Cassidy version anymore, but I will do this. This is very clever the way it's done, and it's so simple, so bold, so easy, and so freaking deceptive. I mean, Diverse Deceptions is aptly named book. So that's what you're getting. That's the effect. That's the method.
But for now, for your customer's sake, for your daughter's sake, you might want to think about buying a quality product from me.
This is 40-something, 50 pages. Wow, I can't even see that. 50 pages. Sorry about it. Got to put on the shades to be able to see this stuff here. Yeah, 50 pages. Sorry about that. Anyway, so, you know, for my whole life, 2017, 2015 vision, my whole life. Even as a kid, my nickname, no joke, was Eagle Eyes. I could see stuff that nobody else could see. And until about a year ago, then all of a sudden I wake up one day and I can't read what's, I'm like, what is going on here? I can't see this. So I got these magnifying glass readers. Anyway, shut up, Jeff. So, product quality. This is, again, it's got that nostalgia vibe to it. I'll see if I can sort of flip through it a little bit here. It's kind of awkward to do this on camera. Just kind of flipping through it. And it's just like these old booklets I remember having back in the day. It's well written. There are some typos, minor grammar and syntax issues that they don't take away from your ability to learn the material, but they do annoy me a little bit, that kind of thing. But it's not enough to ding the product quality. It's very well written, very clear. And I love reading Richard Osterlind's way of writing. He's just a good writer and a good thinker, and he's really good at getting the stuff out of his brain onto a piece of paper and making it where somebody else who's not in his brain can understand what's going on in his brain. And you got to remember, this dude has been doing this for, I think we're coming up on 50 years now that he's been a performing mentalist. And so there is vast, vast depths within his brain that he is sharing with the community. So take advantage of it. So product quality, 100% solid. Ad copy, totally solid. There's a couple funny things in there. How to practice is a chapter worth its weight in gold to mentalists. Well, I did the math, and its weight in gold would be about $2,300. So I don't know if it's worth its weight in gold. I know it's just being fun and not being literal. But then later he says, fourth dimensional telepathy is easily worth the price of the book alone. Well, the book's $40. So fourth dimensional telepathy is worth $40. That essay is worth $2,300. If you average them out, they're worth about $1,000 a piece. I know, I'm being ridiculous. Not going to ding the ad copy for that because they were just using metaphorical, fun language. But I thought it'd be funny to do the math on all of that. And I really did. I talk about it in the written review. So those jokes, goofy things aside, the ad copy is 100% solid, totally incredible. And for me, the index telepathy, which is the name place routine, that was worth the price for me. So for $40, the final question that you have, if we're going for the same sort of thing that was back in the day, where you'd get something like this for a couple of dollars, there's still a price tag on this Jinx program here for $2. Right there, the red tag there. Now, I bought this sometime in the 90s probably, and I don't know if $2 was what it was sold for back in the 30s or whatever Animan put it out, or the 20s or whatever, whenever he put it out. But I did some more goofy math and found out that almost to the penny, in today's money, this $40 is the same, if you deal with inflation and all that, that you would have paid back in the day. So whatever the price of this would have been back in the day, like $1 or $2 or whatever per page, if you do it, I did the math per page, it ends up being almost to the penny the exact same comparable price of what you would have paid for something like this back in the 1930s, 40s, sometime back then. Look in the written review for all the details on that. Bottom line, if you are a mentalist and you perform, especially if you perform regularly, I mean, this is, just get it. It's $40 and you will find something that you will use. Even if you're a casual performer, you will find something in here that you will use. If you're not a mentalist, I don't know if this is necessarily the best starting place, but it's not a wrong or bad starting place. You just may not be as familiar with some of the things he's talking about in here. And there is a teeny bit of an assumption that you kind of know about mentalism. What would happen probably if you don't know anything about mentalism and you read this book, you probably wouldn't believe some of the stuff would work, right? But it does. Trust me, it's the kind of thing I've done and do. And it's stuff he's been doing for 50 years, and it does work. When you first transition from magic to mentalism, you have those moments where you just don't believe that this stuff will work until you try it out. Anyway, if you're a performer and you're looking for some really good advice, ideas, and tricks, and optimizations by Mr. Osterlind, this is definitely for you. Final verdict, 5 stars. Stone status of capital G, capital E, capital M, exclamation point. That's it for this one, folks. Now it's time for you to like the video, share it, comment it, tell everybody in the world about it, subscribe to the channel, and listen to the random iTunes song of the moment, which is Ozzy. Yes. Shot in the Dark by Ozzy. So, I got a story about this song. This was off of the Ultimate Sin album. And if you know anything about that album, it's kind of gross and scary looking. And this was during the 80s now, the height of the satanic panic, where everybody, including my dad, thought that music, rock and roll was just pure evil. And then you get an album called The Ultimate Sin, right? Well, if you were around in the 80s, you know what he's talking about. The Ultimate Sin. This was at the height of the Cold War in the 80s. And The Ultimate Sin, this whole album was about the Cold War. The Ultimate Sin was talking about nuclear war. Nuclear war would be the ultimate sin. And meaning that in the very literal sense of the word. Most people, when they say ultimate, they don't use it the right way. They mean it's the best. No, ultimate means last. It's the final thing. And what would be the final thing to happen to humanity? A nuclear war where we destroy each other and we're gone. That's the ultimate sin. That's what that song's about. There's another song on there called Thank God for the Bomb. And again, if you're a satanic panicked parent like my dad was, you would think, what is he thanking God for bombs? What? No, the whole premise of that song is about thank God for the nuclear bomb. Thank God the Russians have it and that we have it and everybody else has it, because if I use it, I know they're going to use it. So we're all afraid to use it because, mutually assured destruction, a term you've heard a lot if you grew up in the 80s. And so thank God the bomb exists because we're all so afraid to use it. Anyway, so this song, though, Shot in the Dark, when the video came on, it's a funny video with Ozzy just walking around stage barefoot. And there's a whole story behind why he was barefooted, because he slipped on stage once, and so his shoes were slippery, so he stopped wearing shoes on stage. But my mom saw the video, and she's like, that's Ozzy? I thought he was going to be some scary, evil dude. He's just some little old man walking around barefoot on stage. Anyway, sorry, the iTunes songs have been a bit rambly lately. But he's still alive and actually released another song not too long ago. So he's still kicking, putting out some music. But that's it for this one, folks. Thanks for watching. I'll put a link to this Shot in the Dark down in the description below. I've forgotten how to make videos, apparently. Last, tune in next time where we will be doing a review of... I don't know, but it will be a review of something. Don't know what it is yet. Haven't decided. I'm not going to make any commitments, so I'm just going to say tune in next time for another review. Thanks for watching. Peace out.